A very good morning to all. On behalf of Jagran Institute of Management, I, Lopa Munshi, extend a very warm welcome to all the respected guest speakers, dignitaries, researchers, academicians, paper presenters, members of faculty, and my dear friends in the fourth International E-Conference on Sustainable Practices in Business Management and Technology in Turbulent Times. It is very unfortunate that on 15th October, our chairman, Sri Yogendra Mohan Gupta ji, left us for his heavenly abode. He was an icon of human sensibilities, a true torchbearer for all, and valiant fighter for right cause. He had a burning desire to remodel our educational system to make today's young generation really Indian, having moral character. I would request everyone present here to observe 1 minute silence to pay homage to the departed soul. Thank you. Light symbolizes enlightenment and enshrines the spiritual urge of wisdom and bliss. So before starting the program, let us seek the blessings of Almighty.
ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्.
Sustainability has become a crucial component to any organization's successful strategy. Business practices and technology that does not consider sustainability element is less impactful in several measures. In a business environment that is characterized by global integration and rapid technological advancement, most of the managerial and economic resources are absorbed in acquiring competencies to make pace with the changing environment. As the world moves away from the recent turbulent time and get adjusted to the new normal, the challenges and opportunities are being explored and discussed by experts worldwide. Individuals and organizations are struggling to tackle critical challenges induced by a turbulent time. The key to success in the next decade will be different from today. Academicians, researchers, industrialists, entrepreneurs need to reinvent their policies and restructure companies for the future while ensuring adjustments to the turbulent times and strong performance in the present. Structured on the principle of exchange of information and cross-border learning, this conference aims to facilitate open discussion in academic research that shape the direction of dynamic practices in the field of management and technology. I take pride to be associated with Jagran Institute of Management. The pedagogy of the institute includes holistic development of the students along with enhancing their employability skills by organizing various symposiums, seminars, guest lectures, workshops, and industrial visits. These help students to prepare them to leverage their enhanced leadership capacity to build sustainable advantage for their workplace. Students are prepared to take up not only challenging jobs in the corporate but also become a responsible citizen of the nation. Let us quickly have a virtual tour of Jagran Education Foundation.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय. Lead me from asatya to satya. Lead me from darkness to light. Imparting value education, Jagran Education Foundation. In the sacred memory of late Shri Puran Chandra Gupta ji, the founder of Dainik Jagran. Under the benevolent support of the Dainik Jagran Group, Shri Puran Chandra Gupta Smarak Trust was established in 1987. Jagran Education Foundation, an organizational arm of the trust, was established in 2005 to integrate and monitor the rapidly growing educational value chain starting from K-12, graduate, professional, and vocational courses. JEF has a strong educational presence in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, located at Kanpur, Lucknow, Noida, Kannauj, Dehradun, Basti, and Varanasi. The mission and vision of the foundation is to build educational and professional competencies across the society. Each institution under the JEF umbrella creates an environment which is conducive for learning and development of skills. All the institutions have state-of-the-art infrastructure with modern amenities like well-set-up science labs, music centers, learning resource centers, and sports facilities. All our verticals are technologically sound with well-equipped computer labs, including latest softwares and peripherals. Well-stocked libraries with thousands of books, periodicals, and journals. Mass communication institutions at Noida and Kanpur have professional setup of an audio and video studio with production facilities. At JEF, precision, passion, and persistence is a hallmark. We know the dreams, we understand the expectations from parents, and know what it takes to be the best. Education initiatives under the foundation are focused in improving the personality and employability by emphasizing more on cultural, experiential learning and holistic development. Our industry interface program invites luminaries from the academic world and industry to share their experiences and wisdom with the upcoming generation. High values and disciplined approach of our students makes them the first choice of the recruiting corporates. Most of our graduates are placed with the best of the best across India. Our alumni base is more than 5,000 who are contributing towards the society at large. At Jagran Education Foundation, we encourage you to challenge your assumptions, acquire new skills, examine unfamiliar possibilities, and most of all, to assume responsibility for yourself and the world. A vision of sustained holistic growth, a mission to spread the light of education, a dream to impart the infinity of knowledge. Jagran Education Foundation, Vidya Dadati Vinayam.
I now request Vice Chairperson, Jagran Education Foundation, Mrs. Ruchi Gupta ji, to deliver the welcome address.
A very good morning to all present today. It's an honor to welcome this August gathering at the 4th International E-Conference. I am thankful to our international guests, Professor Manu Vora, Professor Pastor Argulis, Professor Joshin Wirtz, Mr. Amit Srivastava, and Ambassador Adeshola Helen Onadapi for their valuable time and contribution towards this conference. Sustainable technology is an umbrella term that describes innovation which considers conservation of natural resources and fosters economic and social development. Sustainability has become a crucial component to any organization's successful strategy. In a business environment that is characterized by global integration and rapid technological advancement, most of the managerial and economic resources are absorbed in acquiring competencies to make pace with the changing environment. During these modern times of economic and political turmoil, there seems to be more and more to learn on how we could be educating current and future business leaders to navigate periods of global turbulences, and also on the importance of corporate social responsibility in support of sustainable business practices. These future business leaders are our students who need these embedded in their managerial and IT education, because a green approach to business practices could help reduce the disturbances, and this is what sustainability is all about. This exposure to sustainable practices in different spheres of life and business will increase global awareness and empathy in current and future managers and in their decision making. This conference is aimed to discuss how we can build a mutual consensus on sustainability in the present global, managerial, and technological landscape, and how to adapt to a new normal that is inclusive and fair. My best wishes to the conveners, the organizing team, participating students, the faculties, and research scholars. Wishing you all a fruitful learning experience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The effort of researchers have been integrated in the release of publication of this conference in a special issue of journal. I request Mrs. Ruchi Gupta ji, Vice Chairperson, Jagran Education Foundation, Dr. J.N. Gupta ji, CEO, Jagran Education Foundation, Convener, Dr. Divya Chaudhary, Director, Jagran Institute of Management, co-conveners, Dr. Anil Kumar Singh and Mr. Adarsh Srivastava, and national and international guest speakers to virtually release the special edition of International Journal cum Conference Proceedings. Thank you all. We congratulate all the editors, Dr. Divya Chaudhary, Dr. Anil Kumar Singh, and Mr. Adarsh Srivastava, who have worked tirelessly to bring out this release. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a learned panel of experts gracing the occasion today. On behalf of the entire team of Jagran Institute of Management, I have the honor and privilege to welcome the first international guest speaker for the day, Professor Manu K. Vora. Dr. Vora is Chairman and President of Business Excellence, a global quality management consulting firm. He has over 46 years of leadership experience and has guided Fortune 500 companies with Baldrige Performance Excellence Assessment. For over 28 years as an adjunct professor, he teaches operations management courses at business schools globally. He has contributed at over 680 educational institutes worldwide. He is a sought-after speaker on business excellence and quality management topics with over 1,170 presentations globally in 36 countries across 5 continents, and has published over 70 scholarly articles. He has published 50 blog posts on quality management. Now I would like to invite Professor Vora to take over the session.
Good morning. Thank you very much for a very kind introduction. And I'm very delighted to join from Chicago in USA at the 4th International Conference. My special thanks to Dr. Divya Chaudhary for allowing me to be part of this wonderful program. So let me share my screen. Please allow me to share the screen. Okay, thank you. So my topic this morning is about business excellence in the 21st century, and it's all about sustainable growth over a long period of time. So here is a brief roadmap for my presentation. I will discuss business excellence with respect to sustainable organization performance excellence using the US Baldrige Performance Framework. And the framework has been in place in the US since 1987, and a set of awards have been established starting with 1988. I'll talk about that and share the framework with you. There are 7 categories listed here, and it's a holistic total quality management model. I'll share some resources and summarize the presentation. So world over, organizations have found out that in order to be successful and continue to sustain the growth, they need to focus on 3 things. The first thing they need to focus is to delight customers. And how do we know we have delighted our customers? Through managing the voice of the customer, allowing the customer to provide their input, and then make sure that we meet their needs and expectations. Now, who is going to do that? That is the people who are working at the enterprise, who will essentially take care of serving the customers by improving the processes on a regular basis. And each of these 3 components are extremely important. And if we do that well, then the operational performance should be outstanding. And as a byproduct, the financials should be coming in at the right level. Unfortunately, as we all know, we only focus on the finance and do not have the great focus on customer, our employees, the people, and the processes. So that needs to be shifted. And you may recall, these are the 4 components of the balance scorecard: the customer, the processes, the employees, and the finance. So here is the model for the US Baldrige Criteria. And there are 7 criteria in the framework. Starts with the leadership, more like an engine. Without leadership, nothing happens. And then we need to manage the processes like strategic planning, focus on the customer, measurement analysis and knowledge management, workforce focus, operations focus, ultimately leading to the sustainable results. Now, category 1 through 6 are the processes, and each of those processes contribute to sustainable results in the category 7. Now, on the leadership side, I had a chance to write a short post in LinkedIn on leadership paradigm. I'm talking about creating an economic value, which is on the y-axis, and empathy on the x-axis. There are 4 quadrants. Let's start with the top right quadrant, where servant leadership is shown with the focus on sacrifice and service. Here we can only count few people at our fingertip, like Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, etc. These are the great leaders who sacrificed their life to uplift the entire societies where they were working and serving. Top left is the value leadership, is the C-suite, where their focus is on growth and profit. Unfortunately, many of those people in the C-suite have no empathy for their people. They are just trying to prove the value, and if they cannot deliver the value, they are asked to leave. Particularly in the Western world, they have a very short tenure. If they cannot deliver the results, they are asked to leave. Of course, they bail out with the golden parachute per the contract. Then we go into the bottom right quadrant. So this is where the knowledge leadership come, and this is where all the faculties who have the focus on caring and sharing, these are all the educators. And the way I put it is that all the students who are coming into an institute like Jagran Institute of Management, they are like a rough diamond. They have all the ability within them, but they don't know it. It's the role of the educators to continue to polish them and make them shine when they graduate from the institute. And bottom left comes the bad news, the position leadership. This is where the front and middle level management, they misuse their power and play the politics. The research shows that the people leave the organization when their direct report, supervisor or manager, are not able to handle them or take care of them. So these are the 4 different quadrants. I think the best is the servant leadership. And of course, knowledge leadership is also very valuable. I want to share with you a little bit about 7 leadership principles we can learn from the life of an eagle. It's a very short but beautiful YouTube, so let's all enjoy. Can definitely pick up on those 7 items from the life of an eagle. So we have now completed the item 1 on leadership. And by the way, this model, the framework is applicable to manufacturing, service, and small businesses less than 250 people. That was the original focus back in 1987. Then in year 2001, education was added as a new category. 2002, healthcare was included, and in 2007, nonprofit, that included government agencies and NGOs. So it's a wonderful program. I'm moving to the category number 2, strategic planning, and I'm sharing with you a wonderful pictorial view of one of the Baldrige winners in the small business in 2007. How do they do the strategic plan? So it's a matter of developing the plan and then deploying the plan. So there are 4 different color-coded items. The blue one is the strategy development and business analysis. And the SWOT is one of the tools: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. Both internal and external scan is used to collect the data and set the strategy. In the yellow portion is the deploying the strategy and aligning it with the organization. Then the third area, the orange one, is the execution of the strategy and review on a constant basis. And very important, in the green area, verifying the strategic planning process itself. It's an excellent way to do the strategic plan, and the strategic planning is done by the leadership. It cannot be delegated to the people at the lower level or to the consultants. Now I'm going to the third category on customer focus, and I want to share with you a simple customer-supplier relationship. So you have a supplier from whom we receive the input, then you have the entity in the middle, and then on the right side, there is the customer. Now, in order to have a successful customer-supplier relationship, we need to manage both sides. At the front end, manage your supplier by giving them the right requirements of what you need, when you need it, how you need it, get the right input, then add value in your process or at the entity, create an output and give it to the customer. But in order to create the right output, you need to gather the requirements from the customer. And once you deliver it, you need to proactively gather their feedback. Now, it looks simple on the paper, but it requires good amount of effort to manage both the front end, your suppliers, and at the back end, your customers. Now, here is the voice of the customer model. There are 4 components. In the capture part, you want to capture the voice of the customer from different directions. So you want to allow them to give input about the satisfaction and dissatisfaction about the products and services you are delivering. You can also have report cards. You can also have surveys, various means. You gather the data, then use the computer to do the analysis by slicing and dicing all your data. And outcome will be you create the projects where you are not delivering good value and customers are unsatisfied. You need to create those in the respond area by creating the projects, putting the right people to work on the issues, and then you go back to the customer, verify that these are the critical issues they flagged and you are working on those. And when those issues get worked on, resolution is obtained, you try to gather the new input, the second survey on a periodic basis, where the work you have done will reflect the customers are happy about the issues they have raised and you've solved the bottlenecks and provided better value. Now, here is a very simple YouTube about what a bad customer service will look like. It's quite hilarious, so let's enjoy that.
No, Mom's gonna do the turkey. Yeah, Dad wants ambrosia, so I guess we gotta get those miniature marshmallows. And I'll do the crescent rolls and you do the cranberries. You know I can't cook.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
Double Bacon cheeseburger. It's for a cop.
What's that all about? You gonna spin it now?
No, I was just telling him that so he makes it good.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservation.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car.
Don't spit in that cop's burger.
Yeah, thanks.
Roger, I'll leave it to bed.
Oh. Yeah, well, I'll see you tomorrow then. Gobble, gobble. Oh, bye-bye.
Give me a liter of cola.
A what?
A liter of cola.
Liter of cola? Do we make liter of cola?
Well, you just order a large farva. I don't want a large farva. I want a liter of cola.
I don't know what that is.
Liter is French for give me some cola before I break loose and let.
All right, relax.
Okay, I believe you have to fill out a form for that.
No, I'd like my money back now.
I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. You see, I have to fill out a form and, well, you ate most of it already, so...
I'm sorry. We stopped serving breakfast, but we are on the lunch menu now.
But I want breakfast.
Well, you can't have it. We're not serving it.
Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kick 100% of your...
Is there a problem here?
Hi, I'd like some breakfast. We stopped serving breakfast.
See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
So as you see here, if you are in the service business, you need to really take care of your customers with no excuses and deliver the value all the time. Whatever you promise, you have to deliver. Next, I go to the category 4, measurement analysis and knowledge management. Here is another winner from the government entity, United States Army Research, Development and Engineering Corporation. And their sole purpose is to create the machinery and all the items related to warfare with the highest quality, so that when the US Army and US personnel use those items, at the first shot, they kill the enemy because they don't get a second chance. Now they take on from the category 2 of strategic planning process, and then make sure that the performance is aligned and it supports the strategy. Ownership is assigned to the special categories from the strategy on the key strategy, right owners with the knowledge and experience, and the fact-based decision-making. And I want to share with you a couple of things or the phrases the Baldrige Winners have coined. One is, in God we trust. Everybody else, please bring the data. In other words, nobody is God, so we need to bring the data and information and have decisions based on the facts, not on the gut feeling. And secondly, it's okay to still shamelessly just give the credit. In other words, if somebody has done good work, you can study that, observe that, and then try to emulate it, adapt it, adopt it at your place, give them the credit, because there is not enough time in the world to reinvent the wheel. So always look out for best practices and learn from it, and then try to implement to get better value at your organization. And of course, the comparative data will drive the performance compared to the competition. Move to the category 5, the workforce focus. And here is the talent management model in a nutshell. It is cradle to grave, starting with the recruitment of the right people, getting them involved, then motivate them, develop them, and ultimate focus is to retain them. So you want to retain the good people you have recruited and train them and given them opportunity to grow and add value to the organization. Now here I want to share with you special work from the Gallup organization. Gallup is a marketing company, and they studied successful people from around the world and wrote a book called Strengthfinder 2.0. In general, if we work on our own strength, the bottom of the slide shows, defined by Gallup, the strength is the ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. The ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. Will it not be nice if we first know what our strengths are and then keep using those strengths in everything while you are at the institute, to focus on using your strengths. When you get the placement, use your strengths to deliver better value. Pictorially, strength is shown in the middle, and it's the multiplier of talent, time investment. Talent is the three bubbles at the top: thinking, feeling, and behaving. And the investment is three bubbles at the bottom: developing skills, knowledge, and experience. A couple of simple examples to bring the point home about the theory of strengths. So a ping pong coach found a player who was very good with the forehand stroke. He decided to give him extra practice without worrying about the backhand stroke. Since he was playing with his strength, he won the world championship. Secondly, you are in this semester 5 courses, 3 A's, 1 B, and 1 C. When you sit down with your parents to discuss the progress, normally the focus will be on a C. Theory of strength is opposite. Focus should be more time spent on 3 A's to ensure that A's will remain A. C will hardly ever become A, but give some extra resources so C may become B. So focus on strengths and manage weaknesses so it does not come in the way of strength. Now here is the guidance. You can buy this book, Strengthfinder 2.0. Online version is available. You have to buy new version of it because at the back of the book in a sealed envelope there is a code. You use the code to take online test and it will give you your top 5 strengths from the 34 major strengths they've identified from around the world of successful people with the explanation. It's a great way to find your top 5 strengths and put it on your curriculum vitae just below the objective, my top 5 strengths. And that will allow the interviewer to ask some questions. How have you used those strengths in your projects, in your internship, in your assignments, etc. Now let's look at a wonderful teamwork video, the power of teamwork inspired by the Blue Angels, the formation of the planes.
Boss, Mo, updated winds are 240 at 10. We own the airfield and airspace. You are clear for takeoff. Have a good one. Thanks, Mo. Clear for takeoff. Hello, where did you go, boss? Boss, we're clear for takeoff. The wind 240 at 10 is our wind crosswind. Check your parking brake off, check your trim set, check your nose bearing on, maneuver, time, and activity. Coming after all time. Let's roll. Oh, that's a lot of money. at 10 is our right crosswind. Check your parking brake, I'll check your trim set, check your nose or steering on, maneuver, diamond, nav, Q&A. Okay. Coming after on 9, let's roll. Roger, Roger.
Keep in mind that the success at the workplace comes from teamwork. It's not just the individual, but the set of people working together to achieve the successful objectives and the goals for the team. Those are the one which will bring the great value. So start practicing teamwork while you are at the institute. And that will carry you much bigger and better way when you join the workplace. Now moving to the category 6, the operations focus. And I'm sure those who are in the management side may have heard some words like Lean and Six Sigma. Lean is the work comes from the Toyota production system. And the goal there is to reduce the waste. And if we reduce the waste in the process or the system, and by the way, collection of processes is the system, you can increase the process speed and approaches that is a bias for action by using the lean techniques and Kaizen events, which are the small improvements throughout the organization. On the other end, Six Sigma is about reducing the variation in the process, which will reduce the defects and improve the quality. And this requires detailed data collection and analysis and use statistical tools and use the framework of DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Interestingly, in this Venn diagram, when you are in the middle portion, where both of these Lean and Six Sigma intersect, is the Lean Six Sigma model, where you can get the benefit of both. And here, at least in the US, all the healthcare organizations are deploying the Lean Six Sigma tools to achieve the great quality for patient satisfaction, improving the performance, and reducing the fatalities, etc. Now, one of the important things in the operations is the project. Now, 3 things we all need to master in the 21st century, and that is teamwork, we covered, problem solving, and project management. The research shows that world over, only 25 to 30% of the projects are successful. Specifically, if you are in the government sector, is maximum around 20%. To overcome those failures and reach up to 100%, a beautiful article from MIT Sloan Management Review, and these are the 5 crises of silence the project leaders must overcome. The first one, to plan around the facts. Secondly, the project sponsor must provide support through the life of the project. Third, the team must be faithful to the project management process. Fourth, the team should openly assess progress and the risk. And generally, the team have a weekly status review meeting, 1 hour, where only the status on the work under progress is deployed using the color coding. If you are on target, green. If you have missed the target, red. And if you are likely to miss the target, yellow. No solution is found in the status meeting. Offline, the sponsor and the project team leader will discuss and add additional resources to bring good results on track. And last, all members of the team must provide input of the task and subtasks they are assigned to work on. And by the way, when the project leader or the project manager assigns the task and subtask, we can use the theory of strengths to assign the task and subtask in alignment with the strength of the individual of the member of the team. That is to show the importance of their item. Now I move to the sustainability part, the change management model. The 4 components. We need to determine need for change. Do we really need to change, or are we just going through the motion? Secondly, once we determine there is a tremendous need for the change, we need to prepare and plan for the change and implement the change and then sustain the change. here we can use Professor John Carter, who is the father of the change management. He has written a number of books and given 8-step methods to do sustainable change, sustainable transformation for any organization. Now I'm sharing with you the US Baldrige winners in various areas since the 1988 first set of awards were given. The last set was 2020. 2021 award winners will be announced within a month or so. Overall, 134 winners have been declared in manufacturing, service, education, small business, healthcare, and nonprofit categories. Now, winning the Baldrige Award using the criteria, which is a self-assessment to find the areas of strength and areas for improvement where you have nothing, is more like going to Mount Everest. It's a monumental effort. Once you receive the award, which is at the national level here in the US, you have to wait for 4 years before you reapply so that others get a chance to apply and win. And these are the entities where they have multiple awards. First 3 won the award 3 times. And I had a pleasure to work with AT&T for 17.5 years, where our organization received 1 in manufacturing and 2 in service. And these are the entities which use the feedback from the process and continue to improve, reapply, and win the award again, and continue their progress on sustainable growth and sustainable improvement. So in summary, I want to share with you that focus on AMA. Ability determines what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines how you do it. Attitude determines how well you do it. So develop a positive attitude. Don't say, yeah, we have done it, it won't work. That's a negative attitude. Always can do positive attitude will take you much further. In order to have sustainable growth, you need to engage 3 H's: the heart, your emotions; the head, ideas and logic; hence the implementation. And I have a simple definition of leadership, which is a catalyst of change. Leadership is all about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. It's about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Each one of you who are listening to this program, all of you are a leader in your own capacity, but you can continue to focus on developing your leadership so that you can make tremendous contributions wherever you go and help the nation building. Lots of great resources to share. Patrick Lencioni's books are wonderful. John Carter's book on leading change is shown here. Bob Nelson's book on recognition and suggestions, etc. And I have written a number of articles. Now, generally, when you listen to any of these sessions, you should make a habit to write down 2 key takeaways from each of the session. And here, you should at least write down your commitment for business excellence, what you are taking out from this module we discussed for the last about 35 minutes. And with that, I want to conclude my presentation. Once again, thanks to Dr. Divya Chaudhary for a kind invitation. It's my pleasure and delight to be sharing few thoughts about how to achieve business excellence in the 21st century. With that, namaskar to everyone, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Keep learning, keep practicing, and main thing is when you learn something new, you should definitely apply. And when you apply, you can find out what works and what does not work, and then continue to move forward. So thanks again.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. We would like to present our guest speaker with a memento and the certificate of acknowledgement.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, with your permission, I'm signing off now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker for the day is Pastor Argils Jr. Professor Argils actively serves his research communities in various roles. He is currently serving the editorial boards of Computational Intelligence and Machine Learning Journal in Norway and India, and Business Informatics Journal of University of Wrocław in Poland, Europe, Amit International Impact Research Journal in India. He is an honorary member and research reviewer in Institute for Engineering and Research Publication. Professor Argils also served as public lecturer, guest lecturer in University of Bhayangkara Raya in Jakarta, Indonesia, and University of Bhayangkara Surabaya in Surabaya, Indonesia. He is also an International Scientific Board member. Now, I would like to request Professor Argils to share his experience.
Hello, good day to everyone. Thank you for the invitation from Dr. Adash Krishtala and Dr. Anu Haoud of Jagran of Institute of Management. And of course, congratulations to the entire organizing committee. So this afternoon or today, I am going to present and discuss about hard computing, a software development using artificial intelligence system. So of course, I am Pastor Argils Jr., the chief guest speaker and the dean of the College of Computer Studies at University of Perpetual Health System Delta in the Philippines. So the presentation outline that I have here with you talks about, of course, the hard computing or the software development process. And the second would be the object detecting camera or CCTV using the artificial intelligence system. So hard computing definitely works with the software development process, and definitely it evolves to resolve the different nonlinear issues that involve unsure, imprecise, and approximate solutions of a tangle, and it works on the outcome of a hard computing approach is of course warranted, and even settled correct result, and defines definite management actions employing the different mathematical models or even algorithmic rule. So definitely it deals with binary and crisp logic that needs even the precise input to be more consecutive. And of course, a software development works with, in terms of process, this is a methodology or a model in a life cycle that is works and definitely into the framework of the information system, and the structure plan and the control the process of developing information systems. And aside from that, a wide variety of such framework has even evolved in different meanings or ways, which all recognize strengths and weaknesses. So these are several different approaches to software development that might some take more structured engineering-based approach in terms of develop business solutions. So whereas others may take a more incremental approach in terms of methodological process, which is the best suited to specific kinds of projects based on various technical and organizational project team considerations. So most methodologies share some combination of the following stages software development. So this would work definitely in different ways. That works that also considering that this based technical approach in terms of methodology is precisely things that are combining the stages of software development. And of course, first would be the identification of need. So in terms of software development approach, in terms of identifications of needs, the ideas for software project rather are usually first evaluated by marketing personnel for economic feasibility. So why? So it works in terms of fitting and existing channels, distribution for the possible effects on existing product lines. It requires definitely features for the company's marketing objectives. And second would be the planning. So under the planning, the objectives of each and every activity work here, where we actually want to discover things that belong to the project. And an important task that in terms of creating the software program is extracting the requirements, and the requirements analyzing. The customer typically have an abstract idea of what they want and a result, but do not know exactly what software should do. So the skilled and experienced software engineers recognize the incompletion, the ambiguous, or just even some things that work on the contradictory requirements at this particular point. So frequently, it demonstrates the live code that may help reduce the risk that the requirements are incorrect. The third would be the designing. So the designing is exactly working on, of course, the software design or even the system design. So once the requirements are established, the design is precisely working on the software that can be established as far as the software design document is concerned. So that means that it involves a preliminary or high-level design of the main modules, which are an overall picture, such as what are the things that are underlying the design. It could be a block diagram or even a data flow diagram or a system flow chart maybe, or even the design of the backend. We say backend, that's the database. So that actually works and fit together at the same time. So the language or the operating system and hardware components should also be known at this time. So then the detailed or what we call the low-level design is created. Perhaps in this way, the prototyping is a proof of concept or to firm up the requirements. Number 4 would be the coding or even the coding testing and documenting or implementation. Coding, it works with the implementation. So this is part of the process where exactly the software engineers actually program the code for the project. So that's the actual coding or programming. And the software testing is an integral and important phase of the software development process. Why? Because in this part of the process, it actually ensures that the defects are recognized as soon as the test may be developed, and definitely just before the implementation, and serve the guide for the implementation or correctness. And documenting, of course, is the internal design of the software, wherein the purpose of the future maintenance and enhancement is done. And when you say it's being done, it works throughout the development. And this may also include the writing of an API, and it also works on the internal or even the external part of the documentation. No? And the software engineering process chosen by the developing team will be determined or will determine how much would be the internal documentation, if any, is necessary. So these are, of course, can be done in terms of water model or waterfall model, generally produce more documentation than agile model. So next would be the number 5 is the deployment and maintenance. So it starts directly after the code is appropriately tested. No, it means that it is subject for release and sold or otherwise distributed into a production environment or work environment. And this may involve, of course, the installation, the customization, such as setting parameters to the customer's values, and even testing, and possibly an extended period for evaluation. And part of it would be software training and support. This is very significant. Why? Because a software is only effective if it is used correctly, and the maintaining and enhancing the software is to work to cope, with newly discovered faults or requirements that can take substantial time and effort. So definitely, it is mixed with the requirements that may be or may force the design of the software. So in most of the case, maintenance is required to regular basis to fix reported issues and keep the software running or working. So these are the business models. The business models works with the business process and data modeling. And this is significant at the same time that work and provides the viewpoints of the system and its environment to be used in terms of software development and its graphical presentation of the underlying semantics of a view. And the purpose of viewpoints and views as a whole, from the business process, data modeling, computer-aided software engineering, integrated development environment, modeling language, the programming paradigm, the reuse of solutions, is to enable human engineers to comprehend very complex systems and to organize the elements of the problem and the solution around domains of expertise. So in engineering of physical intensive systems, viewpoints then often correspond in terms of capabilities and responsibilities within the engineering organization. And this business model, of course, illustrates the functions associated with the business process models in the organization that perform these functions by depicting activities and information flows. So a foundation is created to visualize, define, understand, validate the nature of a process. So a data model provides in terms of information to be stored and is of the primary use of the final product. And it is usually works in terms of modeling, and created in terms of created the interview, referred to business analysis, and even the importance of consisting facilitators and asking a series of questions designed to extract required information that describe the process. And the CAI, or the computer-aided software engineering, or the CASE or CASE, this is a software engineering that's scientific, that forms the scientific application of a set of software tools and methods to the environment or development of software which results to high quality, defect-free, and maintainable software products. So the integrated development, or the IDE, this is also part of the view model. This could be the software development integrated design environment that works in terms of software development or engineering, such as the source code editor, of course, the compiler or interpreter, build automation tools, and even the debugger. And typically, an IDE or integrated development environment is dedicated to a specific program, language or programming language, so as the provides features that the most closely matches programming paradigms of the language. So next would be the modeling language. So this is an artificial language that is, or that can be used in terms of expressing information or the knowledge or systems in a structure that is defined by consistent set of rules. So one example of this modeling language is the graphical modeling, in the field of software engineering. So this could be the business process modeling, extended enterprise modeling, or even the flowchart that works with with the system's design and algorithm. So one business process modeling notation is, of course, when you are developing a web design, or if you are developing a project under web platform, could be in the form of XML, form of BPML. So these are some and a lot more. And the programming paradigm also works in terms of fundamental style of computer programming, no? And this is generally dedicated or dictated by the project management methodology such as waterfall, different for an agile, even agile. And the last but not the least is the reuse of solutions. So this is a definition of software. Reuse is the process of first creating software predefined process components. So this is in relation to software reuse approach that seeks to increase or maximize the use of existing software artifacts. So definitely in the software development life cycle. So there are some reuse methods that can be used. These are the software framework, component-based software engineering, science-oriented architecture, or service-oriented programming. Okay, and definitely next on this slide is, excuse me, the different software development methodologies. First would be the agile development. So this is primarily it is used to actually minimize the risk, such as bugs, cost overruns, and changing requirements. This is also it has an adding functionality in terms of development, no? One of those is the iterations. It works in the software iterations that contain many increments of the new functionality. So there are many different forms of the agile development method, including Scrum, no? Crystal, extreme programming, and feature-driven development. So those are the attributes or umbrellas of what we call the agile. So what's the advantage of using Scrum or agile development? So the primary benefit of agile software development is that it allows software to be used or to be released in iteration. So iterative releases improve efficiency by allowing teams to find and fix the defects. So it has, of course, 4 or 3 stages: the plan, collaborate, and the deliver. So the concept or the disadvantage that agile development methods rely on real-time, in terms of communication or real-time communication. So new users would often lack the documentation they need to get up to speed. So they require huge time commitment from users and are labor intensive because developers must fully complete each feature with its iteration users or approval. And next would be the DevOps development methodology. It has the advantage of this is focused on improving time to market. It lowers the failure rate of new releases and shortening the lead time between fixes and maximizing or minimizing rather the disruption while maximizing reliability. So companies that use DevOps methodology or model benefit by significantly reducing time to market and improving customer satisfaction, product quality, and improve product in product and efficiency. So next is, what is the disadvantage of it? Some customers don't want continuous updates. That's given, no? Especially in those companies that have plenty or huge number of adult employees that are not technology based, or I mean that are not tech dependent. So some industries have regulations that require extensive testing and before a project can move the operations space. So if different departments are using these undetected issues can slip into production. So some qualities attributes are requiring human interaction, which shows slows down, which slows down the delivery pipeline. Okay, so next is the waterfall. This is a traditional way. It has 5 stages or phases that many considers waterfall to be the most traditional software development method, and that is, yes, correct. It's been in the industry, it's been even in the academics for so many years. And the waterfall method is a rigid linear model that consists of sequential phases. So what is the advantage or advantages of it? So the linear nature of the waterfall development method makes it easy to understand and manage, no? And definitely projects clear the objectives and stable requirements that can be best in terms of using this. So of course, it's less experienced project managers and project teams, as well as teams whose composition changes frequently. It's very, it will take long period of time before the project will be done or finished, because there's no turning back. As you can see from the requirements to the design, there is no arrow going back to the previous stage. Why? Because you have to finish the entire stage before you proceed to the next phase, and that's a requirement. So it slows down the projection. Well, the disadvantage is the waterfall development method is often slow, as I have mentioned, and costly due to the rigid structure of tight controls. Costly because of course, manpower costs, the labor costs. So these drawbacks can lead waterfall method users to explore other software development methodologies, but it's still being used right now in the industry, and even in software approach of the development, it is also being done, definitely. And next would be the rapid application development. So what is this? As I mentioned in the agile is seemingly, or it is a fast-paced approach that also requires a speed transition of the development. This is in contrast to the waterfall. Rapid application development is condensed development process that produces a high quality system with low investment of cost. So rapid application process allows our developers to quickly adjust to shifting requirements in a fast-paced and constantly changing market. So the ability is that the quick allows low cost, and the rapid application development contains 4 phases that works in the planning, user design, construction, and even the cutover. Advantage, definitely more effective, most effective for projects with a well-defined business objectives. And definitely, this is especially useful for small, medium projects that are time sensitive. So rapid application development requires stable team composition. That's the disadvantage. It requires highly skilled developers and users who are deeply knowledgeable about the application development. Okay, so next would be the project itself. Definitely, it works on this project or this paper or research works on the different objectives on how to capture and record video footage from the Raspberry Pi camera module, B2, and stream into the main server. And this is also used to store stream video footage, localize the tech license plate of the cars or vehicles. It also performs optical character optical character recognition to determine the string of characters in the license plate. It also used to store vehicle information, consists on the time, the date, the plate number, blah, 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 detection number, and so forth and so on. So it's also used to develop user interface for the system and displays a license is plate, if a license plate is registered or not, and the sticker using an alert system. So let's proceed with how the system works. So definitely the input process and output of this technology. In the input, it has the researchers use a camera module, connected to a Raspberry Pi with the video footage, and it is acting as the inputs to the system. So the device is then placed at the entrance of the establishments, or even the gate, the company, or the main gate of the company, or the schools or universities, that provides a clear, unobstructed view of approaching vehicles. So this is very important since the camera module has no autofocus capability. So standard 5 volts, 2.5 amperes micro, or even the USB supply, power supply, is then used to power the Raspberry Pi. So the process, exactly, gathered footage of the camera will then be sent to the main server through a local area network. And this is the main server is exactly working in terms of running the license plate to detect or detection mode that detection mode that is on the video footage. So which will check for the license in terms of interface, license interface that displays exactly the license plate number, the date, the time where the license plate is scanned. Every scanned license plate will determine if the cars are registered in the establishment. So that's significant, no? So protection or even security. So the output is, of course, having these two LED lights, the green and the red. The system will be having these two outputs. The footage of the camera will be streamed to the personnel computer, wherein the license plate detection process will run. So once a license plate is detected, it will determine if they are registered or not. So the other output is where the system will give exactly in terms of notification to the security officers using the LED indicator. So this includes exactly the color green that indicates the detected license plate is registered or color, red that indicates if the license plate is not registered. And this is working with the process of the centroid tracking algorithm. No? So this is working in terms of registering the detected bounding boxes for an object of a list. No? The first box would be register the bounding box coordinates to computer centroids in terms of object to a list of assigning unique identification number to them. So another list of keeps track of registered bounding boxes that are not detected so far and that are detected in the current frame. So the researchers use the dictionary data or data dictionary and structure into Python programming language, or the Python programming language that is being used to accomplish this particular development. So although it can be done using other data structures tool, the state of the required bounding box is updated when a frame is actually processed. And if a bounding box is not updated in the next frame, it encounters the list of disappeared frames. So it increases definitely after set amounts of frames. It's removed from the list and disregistered, no? And the process of this data set splitting, the training object detection, involves gathering of large numbers of images to create data set. So the system configurations, no, it is actually commercially available products even in the local government. As I mentioned, of course, as mentioned before, the availability use of ALPR technology is not yet widely implemented in the Philippines. In fact, some companies provide the ALPR system services, but still quotation for, of course, for different pricing. Smartcom here in the Philippines, I think it's the only Korean-based company that also works with specializing in developing and manufacturing electronic-based services. So this is a technical component in the backbone, or rather in the network structure of this particular technology. So it provides definitely for different applications, such as, of course, these car parks, hospitals, commercial buildings, and even in the shopping malls. So setup of camera for video recording and detection, as in this figure or in this photograph. It illustrates that the server location is inside the security house, and of course at the barricade or this post, the LED bulb is being placed so that whenever the car arrives, definitely the Raspberry Pi cameras is also connected and traced or identify if the license plate is registered or not based on the two outputs that are being used to generate the significant registration or not registration, non-registration of the vehicles or cars. The implementation of the design, this is exactly the hardware or the device that are being used in terms of detecting the car plate number. The red and the green lights are being used. No, once it is the red is used when the car is not registered, and the green light is actually used when the plate number of the car is registered. So these are all for my presentation. So if you have questions or comments, maybe it will be addressed over or using the emails. Thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable experience. We would like to present our guest speaker with a memento and certificate of appreciation. Our next guest speaker for the day is Professor Joshin Woods. Professor Woods is Vice Dean MBA Programs and Professor of Marketing at the NUS Business School, National University of Singapore. He has published over 300 academic articles and book chapters, including 6 features in Harvard Business Review. His over 20 books include Intelligent Automation, Learn How to Harness Artificial Intelligence to Boost Business and Make Our World More Human 2021, Services Marketing, People, Technology, Strategy, 9th edition 2021, and Essentials of Services Marketing, 4th edition 2022. In recognition of his excellence in research and teaching, Professor Woods has received over 45 awards, including the Christopher Lovelock Career Contributions to the Services Discipline Award in 2019, the highest recognition of the American Marketing Association service community. Now I would like to request Professor Woods to take over the session.
Hello, I'm so delighted to be with you at this conference. We are talking about a topic I'm absolutely passionate about, and that is on intelligent automation and service robotics. So why am I so excited about it? It's because I feel that our economies are an inflection point. And why am I thinking this? Is because everything is coming together now. The technologies involved are getting cheaper, smaller, more powerful almost by the day. And what I'm talking about is everything from AI, machine learning, natural language processing, biometrics, mobile, cloud technologies, geotagging, and you name it. It's going on and on and on. So I feel if you look back in 50 or 100 years to today, then we will say, wow, this is when the service revolution really gathered pace and started. And I think it is similar to what we are experiencing here at what we experienced in the Industrial Revolution. I mean, we had 2 revolutions already, the brown color agriculture, then the industrial blue color, and now it is white color that's happening, and that's the service sector, that's the service revolution here. Industrial and agriculture revolution has brought us low-cost, high-quality goods that have become cheaper and cheaper. And in cheaper, I mean, how long do you have to work to get a kilo of rice or to get a leather handbag? Now, before the Industrial Revolution, a lady maybe bought 1 or 2 handbags in her whole life and had to save for months for that. And today, high quality, low cost handbags are available everywhere, and you can buy a new handbag every month if you like. And of course, we still have the handcrafted Hermes and Louis Vuitton handbags. They still cost you months of salary. And I think the service sector is going in the same direction. We will have the high quality standard services for almost everything, whether that is banking or telco or insurance, but even education and healthcare, where there is unlimited demand going forward. It is just so expensive right now that many people can't get the services they want. So the service revolution will fix that. But it also means like for goods that are handcrafted services, meaning delivered by people, will become relatively more and more expensive. Now, these are some awful pictures I'm sharing. I hope we won't see any more in the future after the service revolution. The first one here were pictures we took when we wrote our book, Intelligent Automation. Here, this is a bank. People are queuing. Here, there's a train station. Customers hate queuing and waiting. Here, this is a real picture of the back office of a multinational company that processes 400,000 invoices a year. Can you imagine the service level they provide? And can you imagine the motivation and job engagement of these employees? And you can see COVID added to this. There's so much burnout in employees, and so a lot of service jobs currently are actually like the old factory jobs too. You think about a call center. It's very hard work, very repetitive. It's not something you should be doing. Now, intelligent automation and the service revolution, it doesn't rely on one particular technology. It is really an integration of technologies. So you have computer vision, that is anything from biometrics to character recognition to language, natural language processing. So once you read a document, can you derive meaning from it? It is execution. That means you do stuff. Let's say a customer calls your call center and wants to have a credit card issued. Then a number of processes have to kick in. And so this is then the execution of it, robotic process automation, and even physical robots, if it is about shifting something, doing something, moving something. So if there's something physical involved. And the last one is really thinking and learning. So that's machine learning, analytics, and all of those. And one thing you will see is it is never just one technology. To do end-to-end customer service process automation, it always requires a number of technologies working together. Now, I'm expert in service management. So what I'm interested in is what will all of this intelligent automation mean for the service sector? And there are sort of 3 dimensions that really determine what will happen here. And the first one, really, what is the service task? Is that an intangible task? I mean, is it something like making a money transfer, providing information, making a reservation or booking, canceling or changing a reservation, right? These are all information transfers. There's nothing physical involved. It's just shifting and processing information. And the other is tangible services. So this means I'm actually moving stuff. And the minute I move stuff, I need a physical robot. And that is stuff like bringing your suitcase to your room in a hotel, having room service in the hotel. So yeah, I have no choice, but I have to have a physical robot actually shifting these things. That's coming, and a lot of companies are in the space developing robots, but it's a bit slow. I mean, it's compared to the information processing type of services, which is the intangible action. Here, this is, for example, anything that happens on a website, on an app, anything that happens in a call center. This is information processing. And for this, I don't need a physical robot. Yes, this is happening so fast. At the moment, the fastest shrinking job category in America is retail assistants. And why? Because of e-commerce and Amazon and so on. But what will happen next, and it's already accelerating pace, is these millions and millions of workers in call centers that will be completely automated with very smart chatbots that are trained and company-specific, topic-specific, deal with more and more and more services. Yeah, I can give you one example. My team, I'm the vice dean for MBA programs, and I have a small team of 2 people handling admissions for our MBA. They had never done anything with RPA and chatbots and so on before, but I mean, I have a whole office of almost 40 people. I sent all of them to do RPA courses, analytics courses, and so on with a simple argument. If in 5 years you don't know APR, Tableau, and analytics and these kinds of tools, it's as if today you don't know PowerPoint and Excel. Yeah. So for your own employability in the future, you have to become familiar with these. So I sent them all to do courses. And my team, admissions team for the MBA last year, they built a chatbot for our MBA program. So you can look at our MBA website and ask the chatbot questions here. So the team had never done anything like this. So we used a license from IBM Watson, and then they transformed our FAQs into a chatbot. And what was so amazing to me was we soft launched it for a few weeks, and then we properly launched it. And in the first 4 weeks of launch, this bot handled 20,000 unique conversations, such as, do I need GMAT? Can I get a GMAT waiver? Do you have scholarships? When is the application deadline? When are fees due? All of these questions students are very, very interested in. Of course, they're somewhere on the website, but I mean, people prefer to ask somebody rather than hunting for this information. So instead of taking up time of my small team here, this is all handled by the chatbot, and we have so much more scale and reach now thanks to this bot. And my team now can work with the more interesting questions and also with those candidates we really want to see in our program. So they're very much focused now. So we call this democratization of this whole development. That means that people who are not experts can use this with low code and tools and RPA software and so on to automate these things. So any SME can do this now. Any university can do this now. And give you an example for information type processes here. I mean, we have bots, but sometimes customers prefer to look at something. So what you can have is, for example, at Changi Airport in Singapore. Changi always wants to be one of the best airports in the world. At the same time, salaries are pretty high in Singapore. So they have to be cost effective and highly productive. So I promise you, in a few years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the way the information counters work at the airport will be completely different. Currently, on every terminal, in every floor, at the center of the terminal, there's an information counter with a few head count, and it's expensive retail space, and it is expensive head count. And I promise you, and it's inconvenient for passengers, right? It's in the center of the airport. The terminal is very, very long. So you may be on one end and have a question, and then you have to go all the way to the center. So I promise you, in not too long a time, there will be a holograph every 50 meters at this airport. And that holograph can speak the 20 most common languages. And all it requires is a beamer from the ceiling, a microphone and a speaker. So the equipment is very, very cheap. And it's streamed onto the floor. And every 50 meters, you can ask, where is tax rebate? Where is check-in for Air India? Where is customs? And so on. So you can really handle all of these simple questions via a holograph. And the nice thing is, if it gets crowded, they don't take up any space. You just can push through this holograph. Yeah, so that's really the future here. And I promise you in the future that we will have providers who offer solutions precisely for hospitals, for shopping, for financial institutions. I don't think that companies will develop these solutions themselves. It will be like today, ATMs. No bank manufactures its own ATMs. They're all provided by third parties who are specialists in ATMs. Then, of course, the banks customize the interface and the language and the functionality and so on. And I think these holographs and many of these bots will do this too. There will be solution providers. They have a whole bank of stuff, let's say, for healthcare or for GPs or for airports. And then you work from there to customize it. So the first is really a tangible, intangible, and the exciting rapid development at the moment is in anything intangible information type of processing here. The next is really, what is the task? Is that really an emotional, social task at the service, or is it much more cognitive and analytical? And you can see if it is cognitive and analytical, almost any degree of complexity can be dealt with by a service. And of course, some people will say, oh my gosh, what about the human touch and contact and so on? And to those people, I say, look, you value the human touch. Tell me, when was the last time you went to a human teller rather than to an ATM machine? And then they say, oh, yes, of course, right? So for many services, we don't really care about the human touch. We want things fast and convenient, and these bots are there 24 hours. You don't have to hang on the phone line to wait until somebody picks up. There's scalable capacity and so on. So machines will do that. On the other hand, anything that is emotional and social in sort of core value proposition, this is still people. That's your PhD supervisor, your marriage counselor, your religious leader, or even in tourism, if you go into an adventure tour, you don't want to go with a robot. You want with someone with real emotions and feelings who can scream with you, be excited with you, and do things with you. Now, the interesting thing is when you go to, it becomes cognitive, analytically very complex, and also emotional very complex. And I'm convinced that this space will really be captured by robot people teams. And there's this famous study a few years ago where they had the world leading dermatologists. They were competing against an AI to identify skin cancer. So they had photos, old photos, and they knew whether or not a mole or a patch of skin turned cancerous or not. And I mean, you can guess the AI won the world's leading dermatologists. But imagine the AI doesn't fight against compete against dermatologists, but against GPs. I mean, they see so much fewer skin cancer. I mean, the performance differential must be amazing. And the other thing I found interesting in the study, actually AI combined with the world leading dermatologists even outperformed the AI alone. The doctor still saw something the AI didn't quite capture. So it's good to combine it. And I give you an example here. My daughter traveled back from Singapore to Munich and came down with fever and went to the GP, and she had dengue fever, but that GP had never seen dengue in her life before. So there's probably no way she would have identified dengue as the key problem here. But my daughter suspected it was dengue because the whole family in Singapore had dengue. And so the mosquito must have bitten her too. So she told the doctor, and then they did a blood test, and then it was dengue. But you see, for these rarely occurring illnesses here, GPs don't really, are not quite able to diagnose them. But if they're AI supported, all of the symptoms and whatever tests you have are in this AI, and the AI will give you a hit list of what are the most likely illnesses that fit this profile. And then at the top, it will say at 99% probability, this is dengue. And then the doctor can ask the patient, oh, have you been to the tropics? Yes, I just returned from Singapore. So then, okay, let's do a blood test. And I promise you in 10 years from now, if a GP misdiagnoses something that could have been easily identified with an AI, and this doctor was not AI supported, that doctor can be sued for malpractice. So you can see it's really here. It's combining AI and human service providers for these services. So the last one really is, how often does a process happen? And the other is how homogeneous or similar all of these processes are. So if something happens a lot and it's each time quite similar or the same, like room service or baggage, then this kind of processes can be done by robots. But if it's a very varied task that doesn't happen a lot and each time is different, the robots won't be able to do this for a long time. I mean, I always use the example of a handyman in a hotel. That handyman has to be able to open a locked safe, has to fix a plug, change a light bulb, fix a carpet or a piece of furniture or a drawer. So for the longest, this will not be robots to do this. So the handyman's job is very safe. But this is for physical processes again. If you take for intangible processes here, even though at one singular hotel property, this process may not happen a lot, but you look at the big chain like Accor or Marriott with thousands and thousands of hotels, you can develop solutions for these information type processes because at the individual hotel level volume is not high enough, but at the chain level it is sufficient that you can actually do this and scale it. Now, I promised you that there's not one technology, it's always a complete mix of technologies you need. And the secret really is end-to-end customer service process automation. So from customer initiation to delivery to the customer. And it takes a lot of technologies to do that effectively. And for me, one of the best practice companies I recently experienced is Wise. That is the UK fintech. They do payment services, credit cards, across currency conversions, and so on. An amazing deal and value proposition. So I opened an account. And I was stunned. This was the most frictionless account opening I have seen in my whole life. And I was able to get a US bank account, a German bank account, a UK banking account, an Australian bank account, very easily. I mean, I'm not the most talented with technology, but I was just blown away. And since then I've used it. And this to me, if anyone wants to see best practice in scalable solutions and customer service, have a look at Wise and play around with it. It's just unbelievable. Now, the book I had at the beginning, I showed you the Intelligent Automation book, my two co-authors there.
I'm really pleased to have helped so many people, but I've only just started my banking journey. I still have so much to learn.
We can't believe that it's been 3 months since we launched Jamie, and we're really pleased with how she's going. I think customers generally are loving her. She's had well over 12,000 customer conversations.
Lots of people ask me how to open an account.
She's an evolving piece of work, and so by putting her out into the world, we're able to find out how people are responding to her and what they think and what they want from her.
Hi Jamie, how can I get a new credit card?
I can help you order a new credit card.
So this is Jamie from ANZ Bank, and the first author on our book, Pascal. He was working with McKinsey at that time, and they completely digitized the whole bank, if you will. And so Jamie is now serving customers, and I'm sure every company of a certain size will have someone like Amy, and the smaller ones, they can get already plug solutions in not too far distance. Have a look at the next clip here with Jamie.
Since launch, you've been available to customers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How are you coping with the workload?
It's nice of you to ask, but I'm a digital entity and I don't need to sleep. But sometimes, when no one is talking to me, I watch cat videos on YouTube. Don't tell ANZ I said that.
So you met Jamie here, and I mentioned this book a few times. This was a bestseller book on Amazon. It was launched last year in October, all the way until May. It was a bestseller here. So if you're interested in the book, you can just scan the QR code here. It covers all the technologies and our future scenarios. I'm very happy in the Q&A to address any questions you may have. And we really did a deep dive in this book. And the book is written for people who don't know about intelligent automation. And the other thing is I've been doing a lot of academic research, and you can find that on my ResearchGate account. Just follow the QR code we have done, and that's mostly customer service and robotics and AI and what's happening in this space. So I'm very happy to take questions now.
Thank you, sir, for your enriching words. We'll get back to you with the questions that we would receive in chat or through any other communication. We would like to present our guest speaker with a memento and a certificate of acknowledgement. Our next guest speaker for the day is Mr. Amit Srivastava. Mr. Srivastava is heading enterprise agile transformation using SAFe in HCL and Volvo Cars engagement, consisting of 400 plus people in various roles spread across 3 portfolios, 10 agile release trains, and 50 plus product teams. He has more than 20 years of experience in various roles in software development, quality assurance, delivery and agile program management, agile coaching, agile solutioning and consultancy, handling RFI, RFP, bid defense for EN customers as an agile coach in HCL for 9 years. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Srivastava to share his knowledge.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amit Kumar Srivastava. I'm working for HCL Technologies as Deputy General Manager. The role I'm playing in HCL is I'm supporting multiple enterprises in their transformation journey. I help enterprises, build product so that they can release quicker to the market and deliver value to the customers in a faster and more sustainable way. And on the same lines, I have I've tried to create a topic for you so that I can share my experience around sustainable data-driven development practices. Currently, I'm working for Volvo Cars. Volvo Cars is going towards more of a software-driven company and moving towards 100% electrification. So at HCL, we're the partners, and we are of Volvo Cars, and I'm helping them in their transformation journey. So the topic that I would like to cover is what could be the more sustainable data-driven development practices. And as an IT professional, as a budding IT professional, how and what role you can play in your how you can help in overall sustainability. So let me just share my slides, and I assume, yeah, I hope you must be able to see the slide now. So again, the emphasis of my talk is all around sustainable data-driven development practices. Now, let's look into how we see sustainability. And when it comes to sustainability, it's all about our planet. It's all about our communities. It's all about us as people. And then when we look from a business angle, it's about our customers. So as we move into the digital age, let's look at from a digital enterprise perspective, what does digital sustainability mean? Let's look at some examples of digital sustainability. Now, there are trends like artificial intelligence, machine learning language, IoTs, and we're seeing huge amount of work happening in the fields like big data, edge computing, robotics, process automations. Everything is all around making a life easy, making life easy for the people helping them in getting their job done in a better and a faster way. Another way of looking at digital sustainability, if I say, is let's take an example of Walmart. Now, Walmart, they've been doing and deploying multiple digital transformation, and and supporting the reduction of energy usage, and and they're building a lot of IoT sensors and self-scanning robots that also results in energy savings and a good customer experience. Similarly, I would like to highlight Microsoft here. Now, Microsoft has played a big role in really supporting in the sustainability for our planet. And how Microsoft has done that, like as an example, Microsoft Cloud Computing has already empowered energy efficiency and helped in managing a lot of material waste. And due to the cloud computing, we have seen a lot of organization moving their entire data centers to cloud, which results in reduction in the capacity that is required for cooling, process, ventilation, air conditioning, few data centers, etc., etc. So, as an IT enterprise, all the IT enterprise has a very important and big role to play in the sustainability. So, but as an IT professional in the digital age, you might be thinking, where do I start? Like, how can I help contributing to have a more sustainable environment? So let's take a step back and try to understand the element of sustainability from an information technology landscape perspective. So I would like to present to you a report which is called Chaos Report. And Chaos Report is it's a report which is published by Standish Group. What they do is they do a study of number of projects over multiple years, and they try to do some analytics on what kind of projects are successful, what kind of projects failed, and multiple parameters with respect to the way the overall project delivery has happened. And I would like to present to you some of their interesting findings. So, there are companies which are developing application softwares, and essentially now it's all about making things easy and accessible for the customers, for the users. So you would be surprised to know that while we develop softwares, while we develop applications, IT infrastructure, the number of features that's published by this report, the number of features that we create which are never used, it's to the tune of 50%. Moving ahead, the number of the percentage of features that we create which are seldom used. You can guess the percentage. It's around 30%. So what it means is that the amount of time we are spending in building a feature, in the amount of energy, the amount of overall cost that goes in building something which is never used is high. So effectively, and this is what the data says, that 20% of what we create is essentially used. So what this is all about, it's all about identifying that how we can really focus on creating something which is valuable and usable by the customers, by the users. Let's look at how do we really build value. Now, while you enter into, as you all enter and move into your jobs, it's all about bringing value to the work by whatever work that you do. So there's a lot of emphasis on value delivery. Let's see how we have been doing the delivery, creating products. So over multiple years, it's all about that we look at the requirements, we create product, and then we deliver value. Now that value that is delivered, it's basically, at times it matches the customer expectations, or it may, it may be very different from what the user is expecting. A good way, that has evolved over a period of time is more around feedback-driven approach to developing the things, where the things are developed in small batches, in small packets, and then they are evaluated how they are really being used. Do they provide the value to the customers? And accordingly, they are continuously iterated. Another one more interesting angle that I would like to present to you is, there's an analytics that is presented in the chaos report, is the number of projects that failed, which were greater than 10 million USD. Okay, and they compared with the projects that were failed, which were small projects, less than 1 million USD. So what the number says is that around 32% of the large projects that failed, while only 4% of small projects failed. Now, the thing that I'm trying to say here is that when you work in small pieces, small chunk, when you do small things, you have a better control of things. You can manage things. You can adjust things, as opposed to a project which is a huge, large project. So it's always good to have a short-term thinking. Instead of short-term thinking, I would say it's always good to really, look at the immediate needs and see what are the needs of the customer and build something which is valuable to the customer. So the question is, how do you contribute? The way you can contribute is by building the right things, by building something that is really usable by that provides value to the users. Now, how you can do it? How do I do it? So a very good approach towards creating something which is valuable is always feedback driven. So an approach, and this is what I would like to say is that whether it's an IT, whether it's non-IT work, it's all about creating things which is iterative, which is done using iterative approach, and which is more, which generates feedback that helps us to improve. So what I'm trying to bring here is a PDCA cycle. Okay, that's the thinking. So which is all about whenever you're going to create something new, always start with a short-term plan of it, a plan in small chunks. Then create that thing, evaluate whether it is delivering the value that is expected. Okay, and then take a feedback and act on it. So it's this approach of plan, do, check, adjust, whether when you take this approach, it always helps you to continuously improve. Now, this is where I want to bring you to what to an Agile manifesto. Some of you may have heard about it. So Agile is a way of thinking. It's an approach towards how you develop large systems, how you develop large softwares, and it's more centered around people, interactions, more focused on generating feedbacks and improving on the way. There's a lot of emphasis on collaborations, on knowing what are the needs from the customers, and there is the world is changing. So things change, requirements change. The things that you start making today may change 3 months down the line. So ability to incorporate change in your development approach, that's what Agile talks about. And so it focuses a lot on interactions, a lot on, when I say feedback, a lot on evaluating how things are being done and whether they are fulfilling the objective. And there's a lot of emphasis on collaboration and responding to change. Now, I would like to highlight one thing, whether it's an Agile way of working or whether it's traditional or waterfall approach towards doing things. It's not that one is good over the other. What is important is, what works in current fast-paced, changing world. There is a lot of volatility here, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the way we develop our things. So agile approach is more suited in the current scenarios, if I may say it like that. So, but agile approach towards creating large IT system is based on transparency and trust, because here a lot of emphasis is about people, about them working together. So there's a lot of emphasis on good trust and building trust and transparency within the team so that they can work closely. Now, we all are human and we trust something that we see, right? So what you will see that, the agile teams, the agile ways of working, there's a lot about co-locating people together, working as team. There's a lot of emphasis on everyone working together, and a lot of interactions and collaboration. Now, when we look at co-location, so when we look at trust and transparency, because it's about trusting people, we are able to trust people better when we work closely with them. So in agile, the agile teams, the co-located teams are recommended. So I would say that for many years, the enterprises, we're trying to see that, when we build large systems, we have the technical team members and the capabilities spread across geographies. However, there was kind of a mentality getting developed that for working an agile approach, for adopting an agile approach, we need to have team members sitting closely and sitting together. And distributed team doesn't work well in agile setup. However, as I said, world is volatile and change is inevitable. There is an extreme disruption that happened. And guess what? With COVID, one industry that really flourished and that has seen a sea change in the ways of working is an IT industry. And post this disruption, remote working, which was earlier, kind of considered not suitable for more agile ways of working, is normal. It's a new normal. We see that the teams are distributed, the meetings are distributed, the planning is distributed. People are working remotely from home, and it's not about that the teams are working from 2 locations. It's equivalent to like everybody is working from home. So it's a new normal. It's a new way of doing work and collaborating. And all the enterprises, all the IT companies have really come to terms with it, and they have worked on enabling the infrastructure to support remote working. Now, with this remote working, as I said, there's a lot of emphasis when we work on in an agile way, there's a lot of emphasis on building trust. Now, in remote, how do you build trust? And that's where your data-driven development approach helps in bringing the transparency. So while you are working remotely, the one thing that is speaking about the way things are happening is the data. So there is a lot of emphasis on data-driven development approach. A lot of emphasis on how the systems are evolving and the way they are the way the data is coming up, that helps build transparency. And when things are transparent, it helps bring trust. So I would like to share some of the sustainable data-driven approaches to software engineering. Okay, this is where I would say that there's a lot of you. In fact, I would say that you might be aware of some of these topics. You might have heard of some of these topics, or you might not have heard of some of these concepts. But what I'm going to share is at a high level. But if you get an opportunity to read more about it, that will prepare you well for starting your and launching your career. So some of the sustainable data-driven approaches to software engineering. So first, so there's a lot of emphasis on lean practices. And when we talk about lean practices, it essentially means that we start thinking from a value delivery perspective. Whatever work we do, whatever software we create, when we try to work and create something, it's all about thinking that what value are we really creating for the customer. And lean practices focus a lot on reduction of waste, a lot on identifying how we can streamline the overall process. And there's a lot of emphasis on innovation. So lean is the in thing. There's a lot of emphasis now in the enterprises on becoming leaner. Second thing I would like to introduce here is more extreme programming practices. Right. So in terms of extreme programming practices, if I suggest things like pair programming, things like understanding the requirements from user perspective, simple design, planning in terms of smaller releases, refactoring, whatever we create, consistently evolve that thing and reduce technical debt in the system. So these are all the practices. Once we start working in this, they generate a lot of data, which helps really, they radiate a lot of information that helps you improve. And a very key important area in I would say that helps in sustainable data-driven development practices is emphasis on code quality, on the work, on the code, on the piece of software that an individual produce. And it's all about how we create quality while we are creating something. So it's not about checking the defects. It's about building the quality while we are creating a software or while we are creating a product. So there are approaches like behavior-driven development, test-driven development, test-first approach, and there are concepts like coding standards, collective code ownership. All this comes with, all this helps you drive the good code quality practices. A next level of, I would say, the thing that helps you in establishing a more data-driven development approach is emphasis on continuous exploration, continuous integration, and continuous deployment. So investing time and budget on setting up continuous delivery pipeline is something which is very important, because this is what helps in a faster delivery. Emphasis on MVP based approach, thinking about minimal viable product that delivers value, validating that hypothesis, and these kind of techniques helps us during the continuous exploration phase. Things like enterprise branching strategy, thinking from all these perspectives and focusing on establishing the continuous delivery pipeline, establishing the ability where the software can be released on demand. That's the way forward where the industry is going. And while you create products, there are different teams which are maintaining the environment where the product is running. So the development team is developing the product. The operation team is really maintaining the production environment where the product has been installed. So these are two different worlds, and the needs of these two different worlds are different. Okay. However, when you are building a system, both need to understand each other. So there's a lot of emphasis on bringing dev and ops together. There's emphasis on focus on a lot of automation. And while we create something, how the application is performing, it's all about measuring. It's all about application telemetry. And the other thing that I would, the last thing, in fact, I would say is emphasis on distributed agile. Now, The distributed agile is very important here because now we are working with the COVID that has resulted in everybody's working from home, working remotely, and this has, this has helped the enterprise realize that yes, people can work remote, they can still, deliver by working in different geographies. So there is a lot of investment that has happened in enabling the remote setup, and practices like continuous integration, continuous deployment, all these helps in developing a mature DevOps pipeline, and which in turn support the distributed agile. So the idea of sharing these things with you is that these are the concepts that are being used currently in the industry. These are the things, if you focus on building a little understanding and awareness of this would be a great help for you when you go for campus, when you go for when you try to start your career. And there is, so all these are big topics in themselves, but even if you can read the initial pages about these concepts, that will be of great help. Wonderful. So let's look at what's the good news. The good news, so there is huge shortage of there's a huge demand. The technology service, this report you see from NESCOM, the technology service providers, they're witnessing around 30% growth in deals, and the companies are moving towards cloud. The spending on IT is increasing, and this is a good news. Okay, so how you might think that how can I stand out in the crowd while you work on your technical skills, while you work on understanding technology, understanding the new practices, extreme programming practices, DevOps practices, continuous delivery pipeline, and things like that. There are some fundamentals which can always help you stand out in the crowd. And whether it's an IT or whether it's non-IT, these are some of the, I would say, the behavioral aspects that would help you really differentiate yourself from the crowd. When I interview people, when I try to recruit people, is what I'm sharing with you is what I look at. That you should try to develop an experimental attitude. Don't hesitate to experiment with things, because when you experiment, you learn, and when you experiment, you can fail. But then when you fail, you learn. Having an attitude, having an attitude where you are able to think from innovative perspective. There's a lot of emphasis on innovation, a lot of emphasis on how what you bring on the table. As I said, fail first of most. Don't hesitate to experiment. Don't hesitate with the failure, because when you fail, that's where you learn. And there's a lot of emphasis on interpersonal skills. Because, as you say, agile is also about team. There's a lot of emphasis on trust, and if you have interpersonal skills, that definitely help you, a long way in terms of working in a new distillation. Other two things I would like to very well highlight is a positive attitude and a growth mindset. Things are changing. Things are changing. Industry is changing, and new delivery models are coming, new contractual models are coming, new technologies are coming. So it's all about that. If you carry a growth mindset, you would always be ready to grow with the and to move ahead with the way the technology is changing. Yeah. So with that, I would like to say that this was just a glimpse of where the industry is heading, and On that note, I would say a big thank you and best wishes for all your future endeavors. And yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insightful knowledge. We would like to present our guest speaker with a memento and certificate of acknowledgement. Our next guest speaker for the day is Ms. Adeshola Helen Onadipe. Ms. Helen Onadipe is founder-publisher for Ladies in Business magazine community. She is an entrepreneur and the founder of an innovative business platform magazine for ladies and women in business globally. Being a banker over the years, she has been able to gather her talent and resources together to harness her passion discovered. She is also the founder of Business Innovation Academy. She took business training to the extreme to develop business starters and intending business owners to a self-made business gurus. She has a training academy that has helped tremendously through the series of training she has handled through the academy. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Helen Onadipe to take over the session.
Hello, my name is Ambassador Adeshola Helen Onadipe, and I'm from Nigeria in Africa, and I'm the founder and publisher of Ladies in Business magazine, where we actually feature businesswomen globally from around the world to tell their struggles and their success stories. But that's not why I'm here today to discuss with you. I'm here to talk about the sustainable practices in business management and technology in turbulent time. You see, it's a pity we have to come to terms to talk about this kind of topic after experiencing, the pandemic situation that just got pounced on everyone suddenly, unknowingly, and the whole world has to run into chaos from one pillar to the other, trying to do their best to find solution and to do one thing and sustain their businesses. It wasn't an easy thing at all, but at the end of the situation, it has actually taught us so many lessons that we really need to pick on. And talking about this topic is quite important so that business owners, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and everyone, stakeholders, will be able to know what to do in future. Imagine things like this continues or something worse than this happen. What are we going to do? Are we going to continue to run from pillar to post? No, we've got to have some structure. We've got to have some sustainable strategies to put in place of our businesses so that when issues like this occur, we'll be able to face it squarely without being feared or afraid of what it's going to bring or how it's going to look like. And I'm going to talk about some factors that we really need to talk about that can help us to sustain our businesses during turbulence time. I'm going to talk about, first of all, about flexibility. When you're talking about flexibility in your business, it's something that is you've got to be open. You've got to do something that will make your business flexible, not being rigid in your terms and conditions, in your objectives and opinions and your aims and your goals. If you have a strategic plan towards your businesses and things, things just happen suddenly, what are you going to do? Are you going to run from pillar to post? No. This is where flexibility comes in. When you're being flexible about your businesses, about your rules and regulations, it will allow you to have motives and standards of operation without being disturbed in any form. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is adaptation. You see, wherever you are, whatever you do, you've just got to find yourself to be adaptable. All right, when you're not adaptable to a particular situation that happens to you, how are you going to survive? Survival of the fittest is what happens in businesses, and adaptation is the key role to find yourself to stay in business. by sustaining it, by maintaining it. And that is what adaptation is all about. If you cannot adapt to change, of situations, of chaos, it will be a terrible thing for business owners, for them not to be able to cope with. She's still talking. Next one is creativity. When you're in business, you just have to be creative about anything that you're doing. You don't have to be stagnant or to be stuck with one idea or with one fossa of just a plan. You've got to bring in lots of creativity into whatever you're doing, so that there'll be a situation whereby in the rainy season and the summer season and the time, hot season, every season have its own, ways of bringing in their own values and their own, how do I put it now, their own chance and, conditions. So if you're not creative, you're going to be found wanting when the chaos definitely arises. And creativity will bring about lots of things for you to do regarding your businesses. Maybe you need to change the color of your business, or maybe you need to rebrand, or maybe you need to do something different, something unusual that is still in line of what your business is meant for. So that is why creativity is very, very crucial. And companies, during the pandemic, a lot of companies were able to bring in a lot of creative ideas into their businesses, and it has helped them a lot. Though it wasn't as the way it's supposed to be, but they were able to survive. They were able to, to maintain the situation. They were able to stay all through the pandemic, and at the end of the day, they were able to, to sustain the situation, and they were not found wanting. It's not all companies that actually laid off their staff. It's not all companies that faltered. Some companies were still, standing, and they were still, doing what they're supposed to do. So these three factors, I would say, is very, very important for every entrepreneurs, for every business owners, to inculcate into whatever they're doing to sustain, their business during turbulence time. And the next thing I would like to talk about is technology. Of course, we can't do without social media. Social media was a huge key. I mean, it's really played a huge role during the pandemic, that after everything was off physically, nobody could meet, we couldn't talk, no meetings, no events, no everything. At the end of the day, we all fall back to social media. And social media is a very, very creative tool when it comes to technology. So therefore, technology can never be waved away, for sure, definitely, while running your businesses. The only thing you need to do is to intensify your effort on your social media activities, because using social media would definitely improve your audience, your clients. I mean, I'm a living testimony to that. During the pandemic situation that we couldn't, go out to do anything, the online presence of my magazine was readily known. Not only in UAE, not only in Africa. I started receiving calls from Australia, from UK, from US, from Netherlands, and from everywhere. And that's the power of social media. Everywhere is going to be seeing you. Everyone is going to be seeing you everywhere at at every different particular point in time. Especially when you're delivering a values and good products and services to your clients out there. So I'm going to say, when we improve the technology that we're using for our businesses through social media and every, maybe your website, you make it user-friendly, and you make people to have easy access directly to you without having to contact you, and it can get you to know anything about your products and services. You see, so that is where the technology have actually come to play in a big way. It's a big gap that technology is actually fixing up for us as a business person and as a business owner. And like I said, that we can never take off, because when you use social media, it's going to tell by itself, and it's going to multiply with your technology effectiveness online and offline, and wherever have you, or whatever, engaging platform that you have with your audience. And another thing that technology has actually helped is that we realized that some people are actually having the events online, virtually. I mean, they were able to engage, they were able to socialize with their clients, with their audience, online. Things we couldn't do offline, we're able to still do it online. I mean, there are lots of virtual weddings, virtual meetings during that situation. And all this can only be done through the power of technology, through the power of using your technology platform effectively and efficiently. So I'm going to end by saying that sustainable practices in business management and technology in turbulence time, it's very, very key and important. And like I said earlier, with the 4 factors that I talked about, and with the power of technology, we all just have to make sure we are able to put this in efficiently. If you're not doing it, your competitors are out there doing the same thing. They are doing it, and at the end of the day, they're gonna come over edge on you, and there is nothing you can do about that. So, in a nutshell, I'm actually going to advise us all to be very resilient in whatever we are doing, in every situation, because situation will always come and go. I mean, this is Corona this time around. We don't know what is going to come in another future, in the next future of something else. We don't pray for bad things to happen, but being resilient at all times is very, very important for you to stay on top of your game as a business person and as a business owner. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the session. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable words. We would like to present our guest speaker with a memento and certificate of appreciation. Now, I would request Dr. Divya Chaudhary, Convener and Director, Jagran Institute of Management, to deliver the thank you note.
Thank you, Lopa. A very good afternoon to all. First of all, I would like to pay my respect and homage to our respected Chairman, Sir Y.M. Gupta ji, who is no longer among us. It was an honor to serve under the great leadership of our respected Chairman, Sir. He was a towering personality, and I had the privilege to learn under his exemplary leadership. I am overwhelmed after listening to all the esteemed guests today, and it's an honor to propose the vote of thanks to them on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's occasion a resounding success. Further, I would like to thank our international guests, Professor Manu Vora, Chairman and President Business Excellence Incorporation from USA, Professor Joachim Riz from NUS Business School, Singapore, Dr. Pastro Oglis from University of Perpetual Health, System Delta, Philippines, Mr. Amish Srivastava, DGM, HCL Technology, Sweden, and Ambassador Adishola Helen, founder Business Innovation Academy, UAE, who have given their special time and willingness to be a part of this conference beyond their comfort zone. My heartfelt thanks to all of you. Professor Vora, your research on business excellence vis-a-vis sustainable organizational performance excellence was amazing. Indeed, the US Baldrige Criteria framework, a system perspective 2020-21, was very impressive. Thank you. Professor Viz, the subject of presentation is so relevant in today's time for further study and research, all related to AI, robotics, hyper-automation, and specifically explanation to the flow diagram on combined IA capabilities to automate end-to-end process was so wonderful. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your time and support out of your personal precious engagements too. Dr. Aglis, thank you for your delivery and marvelous presentation on topic hard computing, a software development using AI system. The presentation on different software development types models, etc. was informative and insightful. Mr. Amit, we are in an era of technology and delivery on topics sustainable data-driven development practices with all the practical insight and examples from corporate was interesting and simple to understand. Thank you so much. Ambassador Edishola, thank you for your presence. You are our inspiration as a successful woman entrepreneur. Further moving ahead, my special thanks to both the session chair, Dr. Lakshmi Rawat from Malla Reddy University, Hyderabad, Telangana, and Dr. Neetu Goyal from Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, New Delhi, who will be joining us shortly as session chair in our 2 technical sessions after lunch. They will be delivering their plenary talk too. Further, I take this opportunity to sincerely thank the constant support of our Vice Chairperson, Mrs. Ruchi Gupta ji, for her infinite support and encouragement, and to our CEO, Dr. J.N. Gupta ji, for being our pillar of strength. My heartfelt thanks to the co-convener and organizing team for their untiring efforts. The aim of this international conference is to bring together experts, academia, researchers, and enthusiasts of this theme in the same room to deliberate and share their ideas. Just to brief you all that in spite of the pandemic and lockdown hurdles around the world, we have received more than 60 abstracts, out of which 50 full papers were received, and from these 50, we have published our conference proceeding with 35 papers. These papers were selected after double-blind peer review for a special issue by VSRD International Journal with high impact factor. Rest of the papers were rejected due to high plagiarism or incomplete requirements. And all these efforts have been made in a very short span of 6 months. Last but not the least, I thank all of you for your cooperation in making this 4th international conference a resounding success. Without taking much time, I wish all the participants good luck and congratulations to their efforts of research. We look forward to your research presentations in the technical session. Our endeavor is to create an ecosystem for all our participants that will encourage them to set higher benchmark in research excellence. With this, my best wishes and prayers for safety of all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to take a short break of 30 minutes. We will begin our next session at 2 p.m.